Hello, it's Jimmy here at O'Reilly's. I'm looking at a Mercedes CLS here. So this vehicle has got a block DPF and he's had some of the repairs done by the help of my videos. He's got exactly the same problem that I've done before. So this metal pipe here had the seal blown there, you see that? But that's been fixed, so this oil, that's no longer a problem. That's been fixed. Both ends has had a new seal. But now the DPF is blocked, and what's been tried to have been done is the engine light's been switched off, but when you drive up the road it comes back on. They've also changed the DPF pressure sensor here, and that hasn't worked. Okay, really faint light down there, but you can see that the engine management light is on. And if we look on our launch Eurotab 3, we have the code there 13AF00. Soot content is too high for the particle filter. And what happens is you can't, when you reset that code, the code will just come straight back. And the reason for that would be because of the grams of soot in the DPF is too high. And that can't be reset with a fault code reset. You have to reset the DPF properly. And then also the pressure in the DPF there is 29 millibars, and if we hold it up at 3000 RPM we have over 200 millibars of pressure. So we're going to need to clean the DPF down, get this pressure of 200 millibars. Where are we? We need to get that down to 50 millibars ish, and the idle needs to come down to sort of less than 10 millibars. So now we have 30 millibars there. So obviously, like I said, my videos have helped them to replace the sensor, and find the air leak over there. But there's some of the bits here that he can't do himself, so we're going to get the job done. I'm going to remove the air box. Disconnect those. Okay, so we have a couple of T30s here holding in the air filter. We'll get those out. Okay, so now we've removed the air filter, and I can see that this is in desperate need of replacement, really. Yeah, it's not looking good. So just here you got a 10mm bolt. Get that off, and that releases the sensor there. So I've used these little clip pliers here to remove that clip, and now we're gonna use this trim tool here just to push the rubber holes away from the DPF sensor. You can see there now we've got that loose. We can just pull that side out. So these Mercedes have a smaller diameter tube here and a larger diameter tube on this side, and this is the one where the DPF fluid goes in, this one. Okay, so I'm going to use this DPF cleaning kit here from Launch UK, which is the gun and the particle filter cleaning fluid. That's attached to my compressor at 130 psi. Then we're going to run the tube directly into this hose that we've removed from the DPF pressure sensor. Okay, now that's all connected up, we're going to squeeze the trigger on here. Squeeze it a little bit easy first, and then we can, once we know it's not coming off, we can give it full pressure. So you got to make sure that that's pushed in tight, obviously, because if you put 130 psi of pressure in, it can shoot off. It does happen. So on this engine, I'm not too sure what the backfill is like on this. The DPF sits, well, I don't know if that's the catalyst there, I can't remember on these cars. We're going to put about half of this fluid in, and then we'll start the engine, put the other half of it in with the engine running, and then we can get it all connected back up, and hopefully we should have, well, as long as the DPF's not damaged, we will have a lot lower pressure on the DPF. Okay, engine running. Squeeze the trigger again, and we shall wait until all of this fluid's gone. Keep it held down. Okay, now I've connected everything back together. back in the car. We'll hold the revs at 3000 RPM for a couple of minutes. And we can see there the DPF pressure has instantly come down around 50 millibars now pressure. That's at max revs. We get a little bit of fluid there leak out and a lot of white smoke. That's just from the steam of the fluid against the heat of the exhaust. Now back in the car we have idle at 4 millibars, which is brilliant. And you'll notice there the ash content does not go down because that will not drop. And no matter how many times you clear your fault code, that pressure, that fault will come back because of the soot grams. So here's how we're going to fix that. We're going to go back from there. We're going to turn off the engine. And now we're going to go back from here. Special function, teach in process, teach in process after replacement of the particle filter. Now this is the only way to do it. I know it hasn't had a new DPF, but you can feel free to fit a new DPF if you want to spend a few grand. The DPF pressure now is as good as a brand new DPF, 45 millibars at 3000 RPM. So you can't do this without getting the pressure down on the DPF. You need to make sure your DPF pressure is down before you tell it it's got a new DPF. Otherwise you risk setting the car on fire by overheating the DPF. Now that's all done, we're going to come back in, clear the fault code, then read it to make sure it's gone. No, it hasn't gone. Clear. Might need to cycle the ignition off. Okay, so we check now that the reset of the DPF has reset the grams. We have 4 millibars pressure, which is good. Just going to come back to the teach-in processes. We're going to reset the drift compensation. So that resets the DPF pressure sensor, calibrates it in. Okay, try that again with the ignition on. Okay, so that's now all been reset there. Okay, so that's all of the fault codes cleared. Got a couple in here. Supply voltage of the retractor, software error. What's this? The emergency tension retractor. I think that's for the seat belts. Okay, so that's it, we're all finished on that. He's ready to go home and I'll see you on our next video.